Hello everyone, welcome to another Let's Play, well, it's not really a Let's Play, but you can think of this more of like, I would say, small streamer, me as a small streaming YouTube, coming back with more Let's Plays. I will actually be trying to cool down on bringing up some politics. I won't bring a lot of politics like I usually do. I won't be putting truths about what I'm finding out that this guy is doing. But before I put the full-on announcement for a lot of these Let's Plays happening, um, and let me just say there'll be some Let's Plays that'll take time for me to get on streaming. Um, I'm not sure what game I'm gonna put for a Let's Play, but I'm pretty sure I'm thinking about Never to Everness. Um, Reasons why is because so far it's great, even though it's something new that I haven't really fully focused on. This game, I have not fully focused on this game, but uh, I'm planning to see if I just want to stream this one as a Let's Play first. Probably make a few Let's Plays here and there. Um, is there a possibility that I won't be streaming long? Because there's some things I can't really, I have no experience on. But, you never know. I might as well just try to stream Let's Plays before the time comes to where I can't really do very much. And another thing is, I wanted to bring something about Nintendo. And this is not me just fully hating on it. It's the things that Nintendo is doing so far that feels like a bunch of rule breaking. You know, they basically increases pricing, right? And there's a lot of things going on that we are seeing that a lot of people are seeing them as they don't really invest in their business with the government. You have to, when you own a business, right? You have to pay taxes to the government. And apparently, a lot of these things that Nintendo do don't really feel legitimate somewhat. And yeah, now we're gonna have Final Fantasy 14 online on Nintendo Switch 2. But the problem is, people are feeling that Nintendo needs to make it where other gamers do not have to rely on two different subscriptions. And the other thing is, the original Switch can actually run these games perfectly fine. Are they gonna be completely perfect? No. No game is ever 100% perfect. But the thing is, why have some of these MMOs only on the Switch 2 and never bothered to bring it on the platform you originally started MMOs? Like, Switch had Warframe, even though that's not really an MMO, but it has some really big, huge MMO like things in their game. It has certain things that make it feel like MMO. Trove on the Switch, and it runs decently well. You have a lot of these online service games that are not just on Switch, but they're on both platforms of the Switch 2 and the regular Switch. So you work on the original Switch with all these MMOs, and if people are gonna say how, oh, but all these other MMOs shut down on the Switch, they're shut down on all platforms. A lot of the games that usually exist on Switch, Dauntless, shut down on all platforms. One of the few reasons is the original developers and owners of Dauntless just couldn't implement certain things the right way. Where some of these cosmetic skins for the weapon become the actual weapon, and they take certain things out from the game that you usually could craft. The weapons that you were able to craft, they got put in cosmetics, and these are the best weapons that they moved to a pay to win. So with Dauntless, it's a completely different thing. Okay, you trying to put Dauntless, if any person is putting this a thing, any person who thinks that Dauntless shut down because of why? Because the cosmetics killed it. When you were able to craft some of these weapons that were really, really good, they decide to put in a pay to win. So if people would say, oh, it just runs terrible on the Switch, that's why they shut it down. No. It was the decisions of the owner and developers of Dauntless that screwed it up. When games go wrong, it's because the game developers, the owners behind those game titles, to where you have a lot of decent majority MMOs that Nintendo just decides to just put it on Switch 2, when their original Switch actually runs pretty good with all these MMOs that exist. And it's not because they were downgraded. There were other things, okay? The reasons why it's there is because it doesn't do bad. It's doing well. And on PlayStation, it is doing well. And on Xbox One, it is doing well. And on PC, usually when games are still doing decently well, they'll still continue, and they'll still continue on the platforms that they exist. Now, Nintendo is going to focus on their worst system, the Switch 2, and this is the reason why I'm saying it's their worst system. Any type of backwards compatibility game that is on the Switch 2 that you could play directly from the original Switch, when you try to play a Switch 1 game on the Switch 2, it's still having issues. And the other thing is, this is another thing that kind of brings red flags, right? They would basically, let's say if you wanted to refund the Switch 2, instead of refunding, they'll offer you a replacement. And you're still spending money on that replacement. If you're gonna help someone by offering a replacement because their Switch 2 is no good, you do not charge for the replacement. Just give the fucking replacement. Because people are just gonna feel like, oh, you said we were replacing it. The way they feel like is, but we feel like we're renting it. Is this supposed to be like GameStop? And let me tell you guys, I feel like GameStop is way better than Nintendo. I feel like there's a lot of people that just pull shits on GameStop because of things that person who is experiencing in reality, because he ain't getting paid enough. You just decide to push it on GameStop. So if you were an employee on GameStop, and yes, I don't know how it feels to be an employee, but I am the customer there. I go there since I was a little kid and a teenager. You're talking and you're hearing someone who does not have a fully bad experience with GameStop. But when they have new employees there, when they have someone new working there, sometimes that new employee would make a mistake. Because here's the thing, I'll let you know what I used to say in this one place in GameStop that I said. There was a female employee, okay? It could be male employees too. They'll also make this mistake. But this female employee, I was taking one of my PS5 controllers because I had to replace a protection plan on it. So I asked the employee, could she check when she gives me the pre-owned controller, the pre-owned PS5 controller. I asked her, and I didn't say that I wanted to know. I didn't say I wanted it in perfect condition. I said I wanted her to check to see if there's any drift stick and check if it works pretty decently to a point where it'll last a little bit longer. Will a pre-owned controller last super long? No. But it can last decently long as you take care of it. To a point where this is what that employee said. She said, there's no problems because if we wouldn't have anything here if it had problems. That was that one female employee, and I'm pretty sure I can let you know there were a few male employees. Sometimes that would screw up. They wouldn't understand when I'm saying how I just want to make sure that there's no drift sticks. So that means sometimes they can make mistakes. Because sometimes they would sometimes put crappy employees. That's something I'm not afraid to admit. But are they really, really bad? No. And that's something people who are customer shopping at GameStop have to know and understand. They will sometimes have bad employees. But the thing is, the main conversation, the main argument is Nintendo. Nintendo has pulled a lot of really big stunts that were stupid. To a point where they won't give you a refund. Like I said, they will replace your Switch with another Switch of that same one. And the problem is, you're still gonna have to pay a few dollars. And I'm pretty sure some people are like, well, it's just a few dollars, like $1 or $2. Okay. if you're gonna let them replace your Switch, let's say if you had a Switch 2 and you decide to replace it, the chances of your new replaced Switch 2 is still gonna have that same issue. To a point where you're gonna have to be forced to do a replacement again. And the problem is the Switch 2, when you try to play a Switch game on that Switch 2, it just screws up. It just completely screws up. And Nintendo just wants to put full-on false information about saying that the reason why they're putting a lawsuit against Pocket Pair, and I'm gonna let you know, guys, this ain't the truth that they're trying to put, okay? They'll say something that is very stupid. So they're spamming lawsuits against Pocket Pair. And they're trolling the lawsuits by saying, oh, we want to put a lawsuit for a mechanic that already failed. And we want to put a lawsuit from this mechanic that already failed. And some of these mechanics in Japan were successful with the lawsuit. But still, Nintendo lost that lawsuit. Even though they ended up winning a few of these lawsuits, they lost it again. And the reasons why? The court in Japan knows that Nintendo has put a lawsuit for some of these mechanics in Japan already before. It is nothing new. And they are trying to continue spamming and trolling the lawsuit. To where, as much as I hate to say it, I love Nintendo, but the problem is, they don't want to stop fucking around. To where if they're not going to stop fooling around and take this lawsuit seriously, because they can't admit that they've done this lawsuit before, and just say it's... Come on, guys. Dry throat. To a point where they don't want to say that the reason why they're putting the lawsuit is just because they want to, that they feel like doing it. Instead, they say it's because Palworld has stolen prior art, meaning the art styles of the Mons. Here's the thing, you guys. Did you ever play Palworld A lot of these people who only play Pokemon has never played Power. So those are the type of people. The people who never played Power World are usually the ones that would complain and criticize only from watching a trailer that does not show anything. And if they see a trailer, they're not really gonna pay attention to the way the pals look. They'll just say, "Oh, the throwing mechanic, they're ripping off Pokemon." This is one of the reasons why I don't even play Pokemon. I don't even try and buy games on the Switch platform. I didn't even bother to buy the Switch 2. Reasons why? It's a lot of different reasons. One of those few reasons is actually because I can't really afford a lot of these things. And other reason is I just don't like Nintendo anymore. I used to love them so much. I had all of their systems growing up, like every other person who played their systems and games. But the problem is I'm the only one alongside a lot of other people who are paying attention and feels like this is dumb. The lawsuit Nintendo is doing against Pocket Pair. A lot of us people who used to support Nintendo and their platform and their products and their games. A lot of us used to feel satisfied with their games to a point where we don't feel satisfied anymore because the games they usually just release, same old. And it's just stupid. I mean, you're probably thinking, but don't PlayStation has the same games they usually had? PlayStation is a whole different ballgame. Because if you can tell, the system I'm on, the PS5, is more freaking powerful than the Switch 2 and the Switch combined. The Switch 2 is just using somewhat of the same power of the PS4. The PS5, on the other hand, alongside the PS4, together, and I'm not saying as a team, I'm saying the way these two systems can beat the Switch 2. Let's say if you combine the PS5 with the PS4, how much power would you think the PS5 and PS4, how much power do you think these two systems will have compared to the Switch? And how many issues would you think the PS5 and PS4 have compared to the Switch 2 and the Switch platform? Look how well the PS4 did. Look how well the PS5 is doing. And the thing is, all these game market retailers, people who are in charge of a shop for games, are thinking about it's not worth supporting the Switch 2 because the games are just terribly priced by Nintendo. So where you have all these game stores just putting their own price on Nintendo's games. This could be bad. Because if these game markets no longer want to put the exact price that Nintendo is wanting to put continuously, that means something's wrong. Either all these game stores are gonna say, we're not gonna listen to your advice. We're gonna put it the way we see is more profitable. And see, here's the thing. Nintendo has increased a lot of prices of a lot of new things and old things. Why do these old games have to be so pricey? They'll make an excuse like, well, the tariffs are actually affecting the prices of our game and of our system. Okay, why is there information saying you don't do anything to pay the government for your business here in the US? That's highly classified. You know, it's like dealing with politics, but with a game franchise, a platform you usually supported. But yeah. All right. Enough of my complaints. Enough of my ranting about Nintendo. I think it's about time. I do a little bit of waiting, and plus I have to take my medicine, my benzotropin, to like help my pressure, my trigger. But I still make sure I hold my own. I don't go in any type of rampage or outburst. Just gonna let you know. I don't slam things. But yeah, I'm just making sure I'm able to control my emotions to an extent to where I don't like, you know. But all right, guys. I'll see you guys soon in a little bit, and